Florida Republican governor and presidential candidate Ron DeSantis was on the campaign trail promoting his Stop Woke Act agenda, which is the anti-woke movement to change the curriculum in Florida public schools statewide back in his home state, who believes that slavery should not be taught in African American studies, and that black history is not telling the actual truth regarding African slaves who've benefited their own skills. DeSantis also believes that the dehumanization of enslaved Africans should not be taught to non-African American students, saying that this kind of alleged truth could have some middle and high school students asking questions for their parents about slavery.
This is who Ron DeSantis has always been. Here's a moment from the 2018 midterms during a debate between Democrat Andrew Gillum and Ron DeSantis.
My grandmother used to say a hit dog will holler, and it hollered through this room. Mr. DeSantis has spoken. First of all, he's got neo-Nazis helping him out in the state. He has spoken at racist conferences. He's accepted a contribution and would not return it from someone who referred to the former president of the United States as a Muslim in. When asked to return that money, he said no. He's using that money to now fund negative ads. Now, I'm not calling Mr. DeSantis a racist. I'm simply saying the racists believe he's a racist.
We fight the woke in the legislature. We fight the woke in the corporations. We fight the woke in the schools. We never, ever surrender to the woke mob. We have made Florida the state where woke goes to die. The woke mind virus represents a war on merit. The woke represents a war on the truth. As president, we will wage a war on the woke. We will fight the woke in schools. We will fight the woke in the corporations. We'll fight the woke in the halls of Congress. We will never surrender to the woke mob. The woke mind virus represents a war on the truth, so we will wage a war on the woke. We will fight the woke in education. We will fight the woke in the corporations. We will fight the woke in the halls of Congress. We will never, ever surrender to the woke mob. We will make woke ideology, leave it to the dustbin of history. We're required to wage a war on woke.
Governor Ron DeSantis is not holding back on how he feels, nor cares about the opinions critics when it comes to banning African American studies, black history, and critical race theory. DeSantis has also admitted that he is no fan of work diversity, seeing African Americans in top corporate positions at these major companies, whether in Florida or across the country. DeSantis is no fan of hosts Whoopi Goldberg and Sunny Hostin from ABC's The View, who he calls these two female hosts on The View woke. He was no fan of Don Lemon, formerly of CNN, nor a fan of current African Americans hosts on MSNBC, hosting their individual shows when it comes to Joy Reid or Reverend Al Sharpton. DeSantis calls those individuals who are the top hosts of major cable news programs woke and offensive. DeSantis has made campaign promises to his supporters that when he becomes the 47th president, he will, in his words, clean up the woke liberal media, meaning CNN and MSNBC, also demanding that a full Republican Congress in 2025 at the start of his first term in the Oval Office give him full power to cancel major daytime talk shows like The View, to please his supporters down in Florida and across the country. Civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump, along with black leaders, educators, and black business owners, are planning or is already suing the governor, Ron DeSantis, and the state of Florida, calling this an all-out war to save black history by distorting the truth about slavery, Jim Crow, and the truth about black history here in the United States, which is also American history. Here's Benjamin Crump in Houston, Texas, on Governor DeSantis trying to abolish all of black history down in Florida.
Well, we need to go tell it on the mountain. I mean, I know I'm talking to the choir, but the choir got to sing louder, y'all. Now more than ever. I mean, and what was it just recently, Michelle? He is trying to tell our teachers that they are required to teach children that starting from middle school on, when they talk about American history and they come to slavery, they must tell them that there were some positive benefits to slavery. I mean, in what world would that ever be accepted? And how can we let them think they can get away with this in 2023? We must make sure our children know that slavery was evil, it was inhumane, and it was immoral, point blank, period. It is not debatable. It is not both sides. And when I think about Roland Martin, him banning books and not letting them teach black history, I am reminded of the great Carter G. Woodson, known as the father of black history, who said, if a race has no history, if a race has no traditions that are valued and respected enough to teach the young people, he said, then that race becomes a negligible thought in the mind of the world, and thus becomes endangered of being exterminated off the face of the earth. So we say to the elected leaders of Florida and Texas and anywhere else, we will not let you all exterminate our black history, our black literature, or our black culture. We will stand up for our children. We will speak up for our children, and we will fight for our children.
Black filmmaker Spike Lee, who's known for his popular famous movies, such as the 1989 Spike Lee joint, Do the Right Thing, that dealt with racism at a local pizzeria shop in the heart of Brooklyn, New York. Also his 1992 movie Malcolm X, starring Denzel Washington, where he played the late civil rights activist, growing up in the segregated Midwest of Omaha, Nebraska, then fast forward to becoming a Muslim joining the Nation of Islam. Spike Lee calls Governor DeSantis' action troublesome, and despite laws that are currently put in place in the state of Florida's educational curriculum, Black history and African American studies still must be taught to black children, teens, and young adults. Here's Spike Lee on CNN, speaking with Anderson Cooper.
I don't think he's educated about enslavement of my ancestors. Even they did have some skills, they were still enslaved. It's not like they opened up a business, it's not like they could profit from it. I kept using the term slaves.
Which they actually use in their curriculum.
You gotta say enslaved.
Enslaved, yes.
It's a big, big difference. I'm really...
It makes a difference because it's not...
It makes a difference.
To identify somebody just as a slave.
Words are important.
This is a person who was enslaved.
And I had to pull my hat in because 1619, that's when enslaved African people were brought to this country, were stolen from Mother Africa to work the stolen land from the Native Americans. For me, I always go back, for me, that's one of the foundations of the United States of America. The stealing of enslaved people to work the stolen land from the Native Americans and work from sun up to sundown and not be treated as human beings. You learn to love America by learning the truth. The good, indifferent, and bad. That's what America is. We're trying to aspire to a dream, but we're not reached there, what Dr. King talked about. But you cannot look straight ahead and not see what's happening to your left and your right. How can you, if you're talking about the history of this country, United States of America, how can you just like a pun, white out enslavement? How can you do that? I'm a tenured professor of film at NYU Graduate Film School, and my students say, what if? I said, I don't like that word if. I mean, like, I don't go by if. Me and him never gonna meet. We ain't gonna talk about nothing. So
maybe maybe you'll be invited down to teach a course
To where? I'm going to say Mar-a-Lago.
Mar-a-Lago.
This is some really dangerous stuff that this governor, and is he doing it for his presidential race? I don't know, but it's ill-timed, ill-thought, and it's not the truth. To say that black people have a right to be free and not be shot down by police or any other people, that's what woke means? We can't march in the streets and say Black Lives Matter? We can't do that? I don't understand what woke means. And it's a catchphrase, which is caught on with the people who believe like that. And I think it's dangerous. I think it's dangerous.